The music was loud, and the room was full of our friends and family. I stood next to my husband, Mark, a big fake smile on my face. This was our 25th wedding anniversary party. It was supposed to be the happiest night of my life. But just before we walked in, Mark had leaned close and whispered in my ear, "All these important people from my work are here. Don't embarrass me tonight, Sarah." His words felt like a slap. For 25 years, I had stood by his side. I had supported his career. I had raised our children. And now, he was worried I would embarrass him. I felt so small. I wanted to cry, but I held the tears back. I would not let him see me break. Hours later, the party was almost over. Mark was laughing loudly with his boss, a glass of whiskey in his hand. He was the center of attention, telling a story that made everyone laugh. I was standing by the dessert table, feeling invisible. That's when it happened. A young woman, one of the servers we had hired for the night, walked past me. As she did, she quickly slid a small, folded piece of paper onto the table next to my plate. She didn't stop. She didn't look at me. She just kept walking. My heart started to beat very fast. What was this? I slowly reached out and took the note, hiding it in my hand. I was so nervous. I excused myself and walked quickly to the bathroom. I locked the door and leaned against it, breathing hard. I unfolded the note. The words were written in neat handwriting. They said, "Your husband is having an affair with his assistant Chloe. He bought her the same necklace he gave you. Check his private email. The password is golfstar25. He is planning to leave you. I am sorry." I felt the world drop out from under me. I couldn't breathe. An affair? Chloe? The sweet young woman who brought him coffee? The necklace? He had given me a beautiful gold necklace tonight, telling me it was a special gift for our anniversary. He bought her the same one? It was all a lie. Our whole marriage was a lie. The party, the smiles, it was all fake. I looked at myself in the mirror. The woman looking back had tears in her eyes, but she also had a new strength. Mark was so worried about me embarrassing him. But he had no idea that he was the one who should be embarrassed. He had no idea what was coming for him. I folded the note and put it in my pocket. I wiped my tears. I would not break. Not yet. I had a plan. I walked out of the bathroom, ready to face my husband. I love hearing from all of you from around the world. In the comments, can you tell me what time it is and which country you are watching from? It makes me feel connected to you. To understand how I got here, you need to know the whole story. My name is Sarah. For 25 years, I have been Mark's wife. We met in college. He was so handsome and funny. He told me I was the most beautiful girl he had ever seen. We got married after we graduated. I worked as a teacher to help pay the bills while he went to law school. I believed in his dreams. When he started his own law firm, I was so proud of him. I was there for every late night, every worry, every success. We had 2 beautiful children, Michael and Emily. I quit my teaching job to take care of them and our home. I wanted to make a perfect life for our family. I cooked every meal. I cleaned the house. I made sure Mark always had a clean suit to wear to work. I thought we were a team. But slowly, things began to change. As Mark became more successful, he became more distant. He started working later and later. He would come home and barely talk to me. He would get angry about small things, like if his dinner was cold, or if the house was messy. He said I didn't understand the pressure he was under. I tried harder. I thought if I could be a better wife, he would be the man I married again. I lost weight. I bought new clothes. I learned to make his favorite dishes. But it was never enough. He started putting me down in front of our friends. He would laugh and say, "Sarah never could understand business talk," or, "Don't ask her, she's just a teacher." His words hurt me deeply, but I never said anything. I didn't want to cause a fight. The worst part was when he started talking about our anniversary party. He wanted it to be huge. He invited all his important clients and partners from the law firm. He hired a fancy planner. He told me exactly what to wear. He even told me what to say to people. "Just smile and talk about the children," he said. "Let me handle the important conversations." I felt like a doll he was dressing up for show. I wasn't his partner anymore. I was just part of his perfect picture. The night of the party, I was so nervous. I put on my beautiful blue dress. I put on the gold necklace he gave me. I looked in the mirror and practiced my smile. I wanted so badly for everything to be perfect. Then, as we stood at the door, ready to greet our guests, he pulled me close. I thought he was going to tell me I looked beautiful. I thought he was going to say he loved me. Instead, he whispered those terrible words, "Don't embarrass me tonight." The party started, and I did my best. I smiled, I talked about the children, I laughed at people's jokes. But inside, I was dying. I watched Mark move through the crowd. He was so charming and full of life. He looked so happy, but he never looked at me. He never came to check on me. He was too busy being important. And then, the server slipped me the note, and my whole world came crashing down. Now, the party is over. The guests are gone. The house is quiet. Mark is in the living room, taking off his tie. He looks tired but happy. He thinks the night was a great success. He has no idea that I know his secret. I am standing in the hallway, looking at him. I have the note in my pocket. I have to decide what to do next. Do I scream at him? Do I cry? No. That is what the old Sarah would do. The new Sarah is smarter. The new Sarah is stronger. I walk into the living room. Mark looks up at me. "Well, that went well," he says with a smile. "I told you everything would be fine." I look him right in the eye. My heart is pounding, but my voice is calm. "Mark," I say, "we need to talk about Chloe." His smile vanishes. His face turns pale. He looks like he has seen a ghost. For the first time in 25 years, my husband is speechless. He opens his mouth, but no sound comes out. The man who told me not to embarrass him is now the one who looks completely terrified. Mark's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. The color drained from his face, leaving a pale, shocked mask. "Chloe? My assistant? Sarah, what are you talking about? That's crazy." He finally stammered, but his voice was shaky and weak. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just stood there, feeling a strange, cold calm. "Is it?" I asked, my voice quiet but clear in the silent room. "Then you won't mind showing me the email you sent her last Tuesday, the one about the necklace." His eyes widened in pure panic. He knew I knew. He took a step back, bumping into the sofa. "Have you been spying on me? Going through my things?" He blustered, trying to sound angry, but I could hear the fear underneath. "No, Mark, I haven't touched your things," I said. "I didn't mention the note. That was my secret weapon. But I think you should sleep in the guest room tonight." For a moment, he just stared at me. Then, the fear on his face twisted into anger. "You can't tell me where to sleep in my own house. I'm not going anywhere. You're being hysterical over nothing." "This is my house too," I said, my voice getting a little stronger. "And I am not being hysterical. I am telling you to get out of our bedroom. Now." He looked like he wanted to argue more, but he saw the new look in my eyes. It wasn't the look of the sad, quiet wife he was used to. It was a look of steel. He muttered something under his breath, grabbed a pillow from the sofa, and stormed down the hall to the guest room, slamming the door shut. The moment his door closed, my strength left me. My legs felt like jelly and I sank onto the sofa, trembling all over. The whole conversation had only lasted a minute, but it felt like a lifetime. I had faced him down and won my first small battle, but the war was far from over. The next week was the strangest of my life. Mark and I moved around the house like ghosts, avoiding each other. He would leave for work early and come home late. He tried to act normal, making small talk about the weather or the news, but I didn't answer. I just looked at him until he looked away, uncomfortable. I wasn't just sitting around being sad, though. I had a plan. I waited until Mark was at work, and then I went into his home office. My heart was pounding. I had never snooped on him before. I turned on his computer. It asked for a password. I took a deep breath and typed in the words from the note, Golf Star 25. The computer unlocked immediately. A cold shiver went down my spine. The note was true. Everything was true. I felt sick, but I kept going. I found his email. It didn't take long to find the emails to Chloe. There were hundreds of them. Love letters, plans for a future together, pictures. And there, in a confirmation email, was the receipt for 2 identical gold necklaces. One for me, and one for her. He had even written in an email to her, I had to get one for Sarah too, to keep her quiet. But yours is special. Ours is a secret. I printed everything. I made copies. I saved them on a small USB drive. With every page that printed, I felt a piece of my old heart break. But a new, stronger heart was growing in its place. I was gathering my armor. A few days later, I did something else I hadn't done in years. I went to see a lawyer. Her name was Evelyn Gould, a serious woman with smart eyes. I showed her the emails and told her everything. She listened carefully. Sarah, she said when I finished, this is a clear case of infidelity. You have more than enough evidence. You would be entitled to a very favorable divorce settlement. The house, alimony, a large portion of his assets. The word divorce hung in the air. It was so big and so scary. But for the first time, it also sounded like freedom. I left the lawyer's office feeling powerful. I had options. I had a path forward. I decided to stop at my favorite cafe to think. As I sat there, stirring my coffee, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Mark. It was the first time he had tried to really talk since the party. Sarah, we can't go on like this. We need to talk. I'm sorry about what I said. Please, let's have dinner tonight. Just us. I'll cook. I read the message again. I'm sorry about what I said. He was sorry for his words at the party, but not for the affair. Not for the years of lies. He still thought he could smooth things over with a dinner and a fake apology. He had no idea I had seen the emails. He had no idea I had seen a lawyer. A plan started to form in my mind. A dangerous, scary plan. I would have dinner with him. I would let him talk. I would act like I was considering his apology. I would be the quiet, forgiving wife he expected me to be. But I wouldn't be forgiving him. I would be gathering more information. I would be playing a part, just like he had been playing a part for years. I texted him back a simple reply. Okay, dinner, 7 p.m. That night, I put on a nice dress. I put on the gold necklace he gave me. I looked at myself in the mirror. I saw a woman ready for a performance. I walked downstairs. Mark had cooked my favorite meal, steak and mashed potatoes. The table was set with candles. He smiled when he saw me, a hopeful, nervous smile. You look beautiful, Sarah, he said. Thank you, Mark, I said, sitting down. I gave him a small, gentle smile. He looked relieved. He thought he was winning. He started talking, telling me how stressed he had been at work, how he hadn't been himself, how he loved me and our family. It was a beautiful speech. I might have believed it a month ago. I listened quietly, nodding sometimes. I ate my food. I acted perfectly normal. Inside, I was counting every lie. After dinner, we sat on the sofa with a glass of wine. He reached out and took my hand. I'm so glad we're talking, Sarah. I've missed you. He leaned in closer. I want us to start over. I think we should go on a trip, just the two of us, to Hawaii. I've already been looking at flights. He was trying to buy my silence with a vacation. The same way he bought 2 necklaces. The same way he bought everything. I looked at his hand holding mine. I looked at his hopeful face. I knew what I had to do next. It was time to stop pretending. I pulled my hand away. The gentle look on my face disappeared. That sounds nice, Mark, I said, my voice cold and flat. But before we book any trips, there's something I need to know. He looked confused. What is it, honey? I looked him straight in the eye. I need to know why you bought two of the same necklace. And I need to know what you and Chloe are planning to do with the company money you've been moving." His face went completely white. The glass of wine in his hand slipped and fell to the floor, shattering into a million pieces, like our marriage. The sound of the shattering glass was so loud in the quiet room. Red wine spread across our light-colored rug like a bloodstain. Mark didn't even seem to notice. He was staring at me, his eyes wide with pure terror. "Company money? Sarah, what? What are you talking about?" he whispered. His voice was so shaky I could barely understand him. I didn't move to clean up the mess. I just kept looking at him. "I've seen the emails, Mark. All of them. Not just the ones to Chloe. The ones to the private bank in the Cayman Islands. The transfers. Did you really think I wouldn't find out?" He stood up so fast he almost fell over. "You went through my private files?" he shouted, his face turning from white to a deep, angry red. "I did," I said, still sitting calmly. "You left your computer unlocked. It was easy. I didn't tell him about the password from the note. Let him think he was just careless. You've been stealing from your own company to fund your new life with her. You were going to leave me with nothing, weren't you?" For a long moment, he just stood there, breathing heavily. I could see his mind racing, trying to find a way out, a new lie to tell. But the evidence was all there. He was trapped. Suddenly, his anger vanished. It melted away, and what was left was pure, raw fear. His shoulders slumped. He sank to his knees, right there in the spilled wine. "Sarah, please," he begged, his voice breaking. "Please, you can't tell anyone. If the partners at the firm find out, I'll go to jail. My career will be over. Everything will be gone." Tears started streaming down his face. The powerful lawyer was gone. He was just a scared man on his knees. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It was a mistake. It was all a terrible mistake. I'll end it with Chloe. Today, I'll give you everything. The house, the money, whatever you want. Just please, don't ruin me." He was the one begging. The man who told me not to embarrass him was now sobbing on the floor, begging for my mercy. A part of me wanted to feel sorry for him. But I remembered the emails. I remembered the two necklaces. I remembered 25 years of being made to feel small. I stood up and looked down at him. I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, just a cold, empty space. "I'm going to stay in a hotel tonight," I said, my voice quiet but firm. "I need to think. Don't call me. Don't text me." I walked out of the living room and up the stairs. I packed a small bag with a few things. My hands were steady. My heart was calm. As I was leaving, I saw him still kneeling on the floor, his head in his hands. He didn't look up. I checked into a quiet hotel near the city. The room was clean and impersonal. It was a relief. There was no history here, no memories. I sat on the bed and called my lawyer, Evelyn. "Mark confessed," I told her. "He admitted to the affair and to the stolen company money. He's terrified of going to jail." Evelyn was quiet for a moment. "This changes things, Sarah. This gives you incredible leverage. He will agree to any divorce terms you want to avoid prison, but you need to be very careful. A scared man is a dangerous man." I knew she was right. I had to be smart. The next few days were quiet. I didn't hear from Mark. I spent my time walking in the park, thinking, and talking to Evelyn. We were drawing up the divorce papers. I was asking for the house, a large amount of alimony, and half of all our investments. It was what I was owed. I started to feel like I could breathe again. I was taking control of my life. I even met an old friend from my teaching days for coffee. It felt good to laugh again. A week after I left, I was feeling strong. I decided I needed to go back to the house to get more of my clothes and some personal things. I thought it would be safe to go during the day, when Mark was at work. I used my key and opened the front door. The house was silent. The wine stain was still on the rug. I walked upstairs to my closet and started putting some shoes into a bag. That's when I heard a noise downstairs. a door closing. My heart jumped. "Mark?" I called out. There was no answer, but I heard footsteps coming up the stairs. Heavy, slow footsteps. It didn't sound like Mark. A cold fear trickled down my spine. I hadn't been careful enough. I had let my guard down. I backed away from the closet door, looking for something to defend myself with. The footsteps reached the top of the stairs and came down the hall toward the bedroom. The door was open. I held my breath. A large shadow fell across the doorway. It wasn't Mark. It was a man I had never seen before. He was big, with a cold, hard face. He stood there, blocking my only way out, and stared at me. "Mrs. Carter," he said, his voice a low rumble, "we need to have a little talk about your husband's debts." The man took a step into the bedroom. He was so big he seemed to fill the entire doorway. I stumbled backward, my heart pounding like a drum in my ears. "Who are you?" I managed to ask, my voice a shaky whisper. "Get out of my house." He gave a short, ugly laugh. "Your husband's business is our business, Mrs. Carter. And right now, his business is bad. Very bad." He looked around the room, his eyes cold. "He owes my boss a lot of money. Money he was supposed to get from other places." He meant the stolen company money. My mind was racing. Mark hadn't just stolen from his firm. He had gotten involved with dangerous people. He had gambled with money that wasn't his and lost. "I don't know anything about that," I said, trying to sound brave. "You need to talk to Mark." "Oh, we've talked to Mark," the man said, taking another step closer. "He doesn't have the money. He says you have it. He says you're taking everything in the divorce." My blood ran cold. Mark had thrown me to the wolves. To save himself, he had told these criminals that I was the one with the assets. He had put a target on my back. "That's a lie," I said firmly, clutching my bag to my chest like a shield. "I don't have any of his money. We're getting a divorce. I haven't gotten anything yet." The man didn't seem to believe me. He moved quickly, much faster than I expected for someone his size. He didn't touch me, but he stood right in front of me, so close I could smell his cheap cologne. He looked down at me, his face hard. "Listen carefully," he said, his voice low and threatening. "You tell your lawyer to stop. No divorce. You go back to your husband. You get his money back for him. You have 1 week. If we don't get our money in 1 week, things will get very unpleasant for both of you." He stared at me for a long, terrifying moment to make sure I understood. Then he turned and walked out. I heard his heavy footsteps go down the stairs and the front door slam shut. I stood frozen in my bedroom, trembling from head to toe. The fear was so strong I felt sick. Mark hadn't just broken our family. He had put us in real, physical danger. I didn't wait another second. I grabbed my bag and ran out of the house, not even bothering to lock the door. I drove straight to my lawyer's office, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. I burst into Evelyn's office, probably looking wild-eyed and crazy. I told her everything, about the man, the threat, everything. Evelyn's face was very serious. "This is what I was afraid of," she said. "This changes our strategy completely, Sarah. Your safety is the most important thing now." "We have to go to the police," I said. "We will," she nodded. "But we need to be smart. We need to get you to a safe place first. Do you have anyone you can stay with? Someone Mark and these men wouldn't know about?" I thought quickly. My friend from my teaching days, Linda. She lived in a small town an hour away. Mark had never even met her. "Yes," I said. "I have a friend." "Good," Evelyn said. "Go there. Now. Don't tell anyone where you are, not even your children. I will contact the police and start the process. I will also contact the partners at Mark's firm. They need to know their company is involved with criminals. It will protect you and put more pressure on Mark." It felt like a nightmare. I was running away from my own life. I drove to Linda's house, and when she opened the door, I broke down crying. She didn't ask questions. She just hugged me and let me in. For the next 2 days, I hid at Linda's house. I was too scared to even look out the window. I kept my phone off. I used Linda's phone to call Evelyn once a day for an update. Evelyn said she had spoken to the police and to the senior partners at Mark's law firm. They were all taking it very seriously. The firm had placed Mark on immediate leave and was conducting its own investigation. The police had put a watch on our house. On the third day, Evelyn called Linda's house. Her voice was tense. "Sarah, there's been a development." The police picked up Mark for questioning about the embezzlement. But during the questioning, he told them everything. He named the man who threatened you. He's agreed to a deal to testify against these people in exchange for a lighter sentence. I couldn't believe it. Mark was finally telling the truth, but only to save his own skin. "That's good, right?" I asked. "It means they'll arrest that man." "It is good," Evelyn said. "But there's more. The man who threatened you, he's disappeared. The police can't find him. Sarah, he's still out there." A new, cold fear wrapped around my heart. The monster was still loose. I was safe for now, but I knew this wasn't over. That night, as I tried to fall asleep in Linda's spare room, my phone, which I had just turned on to check, buzzed on the nightstand. It was a text from an unknown number. "You should have listened. Now you've made this much harder for everyone. We know you're not at home. We'll find you." The text glowed on my phone screen in the dark room. "We'll find you." My whole body went cold. How did they get this number? How did they know I was gone? I felt like a mouse being hunted by a cat. I showed the text to Linda. Her face turned pale. "You have to call your lawyer right now," she whispered, as if the walls were listening. I called Evelyn, my hands shaking so hard I could barely hold the phone. I read her the text. "Sarah, listen to me," Evelyn said, her voice sharp and clear. "This is witness intimidation. The police need to see this immediately. I am calling my contact at the precinct right now. Do not leave Linda's house. Do not answer any calls or texts from numbers you don't know." I spent the rest of the night huddled in bed, jumping at every little sound. I was a prisoner again, but this time, the prison was my fear. The next morning, 2 police detectives came to Linda's house. They were kind but serious. They took my phone and said they would trace the number. They told me I might have to go into a safe house for a little while, until they arrested the man who threatened me. The world felt like it was closing in on me. Later that afternoon, my phone rang. It was Evelyn again. "Sarah," she said, and I could hear a new tone in her voice. It wasn't fear. It was triumph. "They got him. The man who came to your house. They arrested him an hour ago trying to board a flight to Mexico. He's in jail. He's not getting out." A sob of relief escaped my lips. It was over. The monster was locked away. With him in custody and Mark's testimony, the case is solid, Evelyn continued. Now it's time to finish what we started. The divorce papers are ready. I think you should be the one to give them to Mark. It's time for you to take your power back, face to face. I was scared to see him, but a stronger part of me knew she was right. I had to do this. We met in Evelyn's office. Mark looked like a ghost of the man he used to be. His expensive suit was wrinkled, and his eyes were hollow. He flinched when I walked in. I didn't sit down. I walked over to the table and placed the thick stack of divorce papers in front of him. "It's over, Mark," I said, my voice steady. "Sign them." He looked down at the papers, then up at me. There were no more lies in his eyes, just a deep, tired shame. "Sarah, I never meant for any of this to happen." "It doesn't matter what you meant," I said. "It happened. You did it. Now sign." He picked up the pen. His hand was shaking. He signed his name on page after page, giving me the house, the alimony, my freedom. When he was done, he dropped the pen like it was too heavy to hold. He looked at me, and for a single second, I saw the young man I fell in love with. "I'm sorry," he whispered. It was the first real, true thing he had said to me in years. I nodded. "I didn't say I forgive you, because I didn't, not yet." But I heard him. Then I turned and walked out of the room. I didn't look back. A year has passed now. The divorce is final. Mark was convicted for his crime, but because he helped the police, his sentence was short. He lives in a small apartment somewhere. I don't know where, and I don't care to know. I sold the big, empty house and bought a small, cozy cottage near the beach. I started teaching again, volunteering at a local school to help children learn to read. It fills my heart in a way that being a lawyer's wife never did. My children now know the whole story. It was hard for them, but they understand. They respect me for being strong. Sometimes, when I'm walking on the beach, I think about that server and her note. I never found out who she was or why she helped me. Maybe she was someone Chloe had hurt before. Maybe she was just a kind person who saw someone in trouble. I like to think it was a little bit of both. I learned that kindness and empathy are not weaknesses. They are quiet strengths. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is be kind to yourself, even when others are not kind to you. My name is Sarah. I was told not to embarrass my husband, but in the end, I didn't. I saved myself, and I found a life filled with more peace and happiness than I ever had before. True strength isn't about not being afraid. It's about being afraid and moving forward anyway. And my future has never looked brighter.